In my second best ball draft of 2025. Got pick 9, so not too bad. I don't think there's any bad spots to pick from this year. Turn is pretty nice. Started a draft earlier today with Neighbors and Amon Ra from the 12, and that felt great. At the 9, I'll probably be looking at something like Nico or Brian Thomas, maybe CD. Maybe get lucky and get Neighbors on the way back. If not, I might be interested in some Bowers or Drake London, maybe Ginty. So, no real bad spots to pick from this year, in my opinion. I'll try to show the board a bit more of this draft than the last one. Still kind of like learning where players are and need to look ahead on the players available. So, I probably won't have the draft board up as much as I would like just yet. But as I get to know what's going on a bit better, I'll try to have it up more if anybody's watching. So I know people prefer to see this view. So, not too much going on in the market. We had some movers. Travis Hunter moved up quite a bit. He's probably now getting pretty close to the range I actually like him in. He started with no ADP, which was obviously very nice. Rookies that I'm kind of getting a little bit more excited about are Trey Harris. Ollie Gordon, I'm starting to really almost want to take every draft now. Just like the pedigree that he has and like the cost that he's at in these drafts. I just don't care that last year was bad for him at this point. I think the cost is low enough that I just don't. It doesn't matter to me anymore that last year was a down year. So I'm just gonna take Nico or Brian Thomas here. I like Amon Ra and Neighbors, pretty similar to Thomas. I haven't gotten quite as much Thomas, so I also really like that you can get Trevor Lawrence at a decent price. You can get Engram at a pretty reduced price, although he is starting to move up now. He was in the 160s, so it's not quite as good of a price. I still like Engram more than I like Engram more than Loveland, Ferguson, Likely, Kincaid. I like him pretty similar to Goddard. I probably like him more than Tucker Kraft. Unfortunately, I was hoping Tucker Kraft was going to be another one of those tight ends that seemed really, really solid. And then when Musgrave came back, it just seemed like they didn't use Tucker Kraft as much as you wanted them to. Tucker Kraft is still fine. Just would prefer if Musgrave was out of there. So I prefer Bowers to McConkey myself. London is right in there. So I'm going to take Drake London this time. I do generally prefer Bowers to London. I want to fully take advantage of building a Jacksonville stack. So I might go with a little bit weaker first tight end than I normally would and try and get Evan Engram as my second tight end. Because of that, I took Drake London. Another nice thing is we can kind of start to already piece together that we might be interested in a 3 quarterback build here since we could get Penix and Trevor Lawrence, who I think are both very good picks at their price and obviously correlate with our top 2 guys. We will see if I'm taking Tyreek Hill again. I've taken him in 77% of drafts. I think he's the most mispriced player out of any of the expensive players. To me, Tyreek Hill should be ahead of T. Higgins, right behind A.J. Brown. I think he's just way too cheap. Wow, someone got Bowers at the 210. That feels like a very good pick for them. Oof. I would have loved to get a Chase Bowers start that the 2 spot almost got there. AJ Brown now seems pretty appropriately priced. He was too cheap there for a while. Still pretty heavy on the 0 RB groups, the 0 RB plan. Doing a lot more hero this year too. Basically, I still just want to be using a lot of picks on early wide receiver, but what I'm doing with the other picks that are not wide receivers, I'm willing to mix it up more than previously. So we could maybe take McLaurin and then try to get Daniels in round 4, but I think I probably won't do that given that I'm kind of liking the way it looks for me to get set up for a 3 QB build with Trevor Lawrence and Penix. So I don't feel any pressure to really push quarterback at all. Jaden Daniels is extremely early anyway. So like both these slot 2 and slot 3 guys are already probably trouble at wide receiver. Hey, we don't have to take Tyreek Hill this draft. Someone actually took him before us in round 3. Love the start at Jefferson, AJ Brown, and Tyreek Hill for Juju. 2-3-8-1. I'm not going to draft this contest anymore after seeing this team. It's over. This guy has won. I'm just logging off. I'm just kidding. But that start is very, very nice. So we get to pick someone that's not Tyreek Hill in round 3. Interesting. Well, I'm going to take Trey McBride. It goes against my initial plan to probably try to do a 3 quarterback build with Tila or Penix, but that's fine. Got to be water and go with the flow in these drafts. I wanted to see if maybe I could get Marv on the way back and build up a Kyler stack. And I think like McBride and Evan Ingram would still be a very good tight end tandem. Did not get Marv on the way back. Sometimes you do from that spot. I would love to get Kyron or Mike Evans, but not sure how likely that is. I'll probably take Rashee Rice if they both go. I do prefer Rashee Rice a bit to. I'm going to take Kyron here. This is the latest I've seen Kyron fall. So only starting with two wide receivers is interesting. Not the usual for me, that's for sure. But nice little values on Kyron and McBride. Obviously, a little boost to the chance those two play against each other in Week 17 as they're playing in the same division, so those teams will play twice. Definitely enjoying the start, but we will have to keep an eye on things and attack wide receiver. This might give me a chance to get some of the wide receivers I like that I have not gotten as often because I usually just have so many early wide receivers. So probably not going to get Trey Harris at 105, so that kind of sucks. But we'll see what comes. So I do have my eye on Kyler Murray. Decent chance he's not there at the 105. People just like are not very conscious of stacking right now, so makes getting your stacks a little bit harder because people just randomly will take some quarterback ahead of ADP with no stacking and that sort of stuff. You don't see that as much later on in the summer for sure. There's a couple of really nice 0 RB teams right here. This is generally what my teams look like, but this one we switch things up a bit. The Marv drafter is on this side of us. This is something to keep in mind. We would be cutting off Kyler at 105 before they got to him, which I think is around Kyler's ADP. Yeah, it's 109. But like he goes higher than that often enough that you can't guarantee you're getting him at 105. But we do have the fallback plan of doing this 3 QB thing built around maybe T-Law and Penix, so that's cool. That would also give us some nice second tight end options to go with McBride between Engram and Kyle Pitts. I still do like Kyle Pitts at his current cost. Obviously, he's been an abject failure, but like he's been an abject failure because we've been taking him way, way too early, right? He's still like 100-point tight end. He still does have a spike week upside, so. Maybe now that I'm not taking Tyreek for a change, I can dip my toe back into the Waddle because I haven't wanted to build too many teams with Tyreek and Waddle. I have done it once or twice, but would be nice to just to get some Waddle here. Get in on Olave, Godwin. Boy, I did not like what the Titans are starting to talk about with Will Levis. It seems like the Titans are not picking a quarterback first. Their coach was talking about taking one of these two. Guess I'll go with Waddle here. Judy did kind of have a breakout season. But I've been avoiding Waddle so much. I do take Judy a decent amount. I've been avoiding Waddle because I always have Tyreek, so I just want to get a little bit of Waddle going. I think just like, I think that Judy's a better pick in general, but given what my portfolio looks like, I wanted to take Waddle there. So some interest in Judy, Olave, Godwin on the way back. Luther Burden, like I've said a few times, a little bit too pricey for me. If I have the option of taking Ken Walker, that interests me. Caleb Johnson. I am starting to get very off of Calvin Ridley now. I can't believe that the Titans would go back to Will Levis, but it sounds like they kind of want to go back to Will Levis. Even here at 64th, Patrick Mahomes, having the stacking pieces for him doesn't overly interest me. Wow, that was an early Jordan Reed pick. That sucks that Judy goes. Cortland Sutton here seems like okay. I think Godwin's pretty decently higher ceiling, so let's take Godwin. He was cooking this year before he got hurt. That is more than I'm willing to pay for Jaden Reed, and I thought I liked me some Jaden Reed. Take a look at the ADP for some of these wide receivers that I don't normally get to take. So Trey Harris, ADP is a bit before 105. Golden's is a bit before 105. Don't love the other wide receivers in the area. I don't mind Pittman. Keon Coleman, I am never taking anywhere near this ADP. I don't hate Diggs and Fat Keenan Allen, but obviously, we'd take Kyler. We're looking to take Kyler Murray with our next pick, but we're sorry with that pick at 105, which is not the next pick, which I should keep in mind. Yeah, that was almost a deadly brain fart. So we got pick 81 and 88 coming up. Debo is someone I just cannot get into picking. I feel like I don't know what team he's on. Because I think there's a decent chance the 49ers try to move him. This guy's scooping up the rookies. Getting Burden and Caleb Johnson. If I hate everything at pick 88, I might actually take Kyler Murray just to make sure I get him. But we'll see what the board looks like. Sometimes, like, you're just looking at the board and are not enthused with many of your options at wide receiver. So got my eye on Judkins, Tyrone Tracy, Buka. This is an area where I'm often taking Mark Andrews, but I'm not doing that this draft. Based on rankings, Kyler Murray would be my highest ranked quarterback here. Yeah, these wide receivers just do not do a whole lot for me. I feel like Mbuka is more expensive than I'd like to pay. I'm going to take Judkins here. Pretty into Judkins as a player. Definitely one of the rookies I like the price on. Now, do we want to reach for Kyler Murray or do we want to take one of these other players? Josh Downs is the last wide receiver where it's like I really even care at all. But I don't know. I think I'm just going to reach for Kyler Murray. I don't like Warren that much. Aaron Jones I'm not picking at all right now. Tony Pollard is like fine. I feel like the wide receiver I'll get next round is like similar to like a Downs. Is it? Get like Ricky Pearsall. All right. I'll take Downs. Downs is kind of nice too because we do end up going like the 3 quarterback route with like Lawrence and Penix. I'm pretty into Anthony Richardson as part of a 3 quarterback room. We still have Baker as an option, or sorry, we don't really want Baker with Chris Godwin. I'm just used to having Mike Evans, so every time I see Tampa Bay, I'm like, oh, Baker. This is my first time actually taking Godwin. I'm not going to play as if he is a Buccaneer. Godwin could be interesting to try to pair with May and see if you can get a combo that way. I think there was a lot of upside on trying to push Kyler Murray and take Downs there. So ultimately changed my mind back. J.K. Dobbins, like I have no idea what's going on with that. I don't know where to rank him. All I know is I have him ranked way lower than 94. I would take guys like Travis Etienne and Najee above Dobbins. Like I think as far as free agent running backs go, there's like Aaron Jones, Dobbins, Najee. I have Najee ranked the highest of the free agent running backs. I think they'll be the most interested in him given his age, his skill set, ability to catch passes, ability to pass protect, ability to grind. He's pretty boring for fantasy, I'm not going to lie. But I just think he's going to end up with a decent role. I'm not drafting J.K. Dobbins yet, and I have no real plans to. when free agency settles and he has a spot, and I'll figure out if I'm interested in him then. But I'm not interested in him at all with the top 100 pick. It's kind of also how I feel with Aaron Jones. Bo Nix feels a little bit pricey to me. He did have a pretty nice end to the season. Here goes Trey Harris. He would have been within consideration for us. Dowdle's another guy. He's free agent. No interest in him with a top 100 pick. If he was down in like the 140s or whatever, down around where Najee is, I would then be interested, but no thank you. Wow, this guy's a lot of running backs, multiple quarterbacks. Don't like this team very much. I liked what this team started to try to do, but then it kind of petered out. Like his wide receivers are J-Mo, Jordan Addison, Khalil Shakir, and that's it. I'm not a fan. This guy took a 0 running back start and started hammering some tight ends and then get some decent running backs in here. Also was able to get Trey Harris. Really like this team here at this 2 slot. 1 slot team seems reasonable to me. I don't really like having both Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. All right, paid off. We got Downs and Kyler Murray. So now we're probably going to switch back to only the plan of only drafting 2 quarterbacks instead of 3, because we have Kyler, who I think is plenty good enough to build a 2 quarterback room around. So maybe at pick 129 here, we will look for Lawrence. Yeah, he goes 136. Obviously, there's a chance Tua could be there. And then Penix goes a bit later. I might reach a bit on Evan Ingram, kind of see what goes on there. Definitely going to take Zach Charbonnet here. He's a guy I have not been able to get past ADP much, so pretty happy with that pick. So looking like we might be in a 2-8-8-2 build. Could even consider a 2-7-9 since we got Kyren. Just kind of see how it goes. If something super terrible happens at quarterback, we could end up with or at tight end, we could end up with 2 very late ones instead of the guys in my head we're planning on taking. Where is Ingram? 148, huh? Yeah. This is just a prime spot where we might be able to go like Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne. Then we wouldn't end up with Ingram, which would be kind of annoying. But we really don't need Ingram as much on this team because we have Trey McBride, who's extremely strong tight end. So let's keep looking around at some of these other teams. This team over here seems to be constructed pretty well. I think too many non-wide receivers in this one. Oof. Where's that other team that started with a very much 0 RB? I don't love these Devontae Adams and Debo picks. That is a really good way to build, 0 RB. Then he hit a couple running backs, tight end, and a quarterback. I just don't particularly like the player selections here. But something like, player takes is something you should listen to other people the least about. Like, everyone's pretty wrong. I'm wrong all the time on player takes. So, the stuff I try to learn from people more is, structure type things or, like that kind of thing. If I am trying to learn something with player takes, it's more like the broad strategy of an archetype of player and less like specific to one singular player. I've gone against the grain many times, like with Tank Dell and stuff like that. Sometimes it works out for you. I want to say like one this year was Tez Johnson, who I was really on. I thought the story, I thought the speed, I thought he would probably get a little boost in his draft capital due to those things. But him weighing in under 160 pounds at the Senior Bowl, that ain't good. So that was one where I was like kind of planting my flag, and I have decided to back the heck off that take. Brian Robinson went pretty early in this draft. This is about where I have him ranked. I prefer Brian Robinson to Dowdle, to Warren, to Jones, to Dobbins. I prefer Brian Robinson to Stevenson. He feels like a safer version of the same thing that Stevenson is. Who's the Brian Thomas guy have at quarterback? Oh, right. I am the Brian Thomas guy. I'm a dumbass. I got so into thinking about pairing Trevor Lawrence with Etienne that, oh, yeah. Gonna take Etienne here, try and build on the Jag stuff, and hope that Trevor Lawrence makes it back to me. If he does not, I will probably take Michael Penix. Najee makes it back to me. I don't know what I'm going to do then. I'd probably still just take Trevor Lawrence, but nice. Really, really like Etienne. I think his ceiling is like really good with Cohen and oh wow, Evan Ingram going in the 130s. Yeah, there goes Trevor Lawrence. Nice pickup by this guy taking Ingram and Lawrence here. I like that. That was a good move. So for me, I think I'm going to go with Penix. We can look at 149. I do like Penix quite a bit. I'm just going to do that. Maybe we can look to go with like Penix, Drake London, and Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts' ADP is pretty low, 167. So we could probably take him with one of our next two picks. I'm fine with 2Q being with Kyler Murray and Michael Penix. I like Penix a decent amount. I do prefer Trevor Lawrence, so I would have preferred to get Lawrence there, obviously, especially with having Etienne to go with our Brian Thomas, but unfortunately that did not work out for us. So I think for the time being, I'm going to click off QB. I might click it back on if I end up with just like an extra pick and no idea what to do with it, but so our positions of need at the moment are kind of wide receiver, running back. We could certainly consider Kyle Pitts as well. I did like the fact that Pitts actually looked a little bit better in the games Penix played as well. He had that nice touchdown. I think it was week 17 or 18. Yeah, Evan Ingram's moving up. That's a shame. I was getting him a lot, like the 160s and 150s when this first started. I still don't think his price is like all the way up to efficient yet, but He certainly is a Ryzen. I do have Tua ranked over Michael Penix, and I know I had Waddle, so I could have done Waddle, Tua, but like I really want my Tuas more with Tyreek than Waddle and Drake London. So I think it made a little bit more sense to go with Penix in that specific situation. Let's take a look at the board. Travis Hunter is probably my favorite wide receiver on the board. Running back, I like Dylan Sampson, Devin Neal. Could grab Algier on the way back. Go with our Atlanta stuff. It's obviously Kyle Pitts that I'm interested in. I don't really like Royals and LK more. I feel like they're just like priced up too much for their profiles. I'd rather take like a Ricky White late or Torrey Horton late. All right. Take Travis Hunter here. Take a swing at that wide receiver upside. Then hope to get one of these Atlanta pieces back. Obviously, Travis Hunter is expected to be a part-time offensive player and a full-time defensive player, which makes him not the best pick, but he's probably going to have some, make one play, get into your lineup, spike week potential. So that's probably worth it where he is now, where he is ADP is now. Plus, obviously, like there's always a chance that some injuries happen or just some team decides to use him more than we thought they would on offense, and now you're looking at one of the best picks in the draft. I'm going to take an Atlanta player here, I think. I would prefer Kyle Pitts. We'll take Kyle Pitts. And then I think we're just only going to take running backs and wide receivers the rest of the way. Running back room is decent. Still could certainly see an argument for going with 8. Wide receiver room also decent. I think that I'm slightly leaning towards 7-9 here. Just between like having Godwin, who might start slow, Travis Hunter, who is like pretty low floor. I think, yeah, I'll go with 7 running backs and 9 wide receivers in this one. Especially since I have Kyron up here as a innings eater. Ollie Gordon is one of the rookies I really, really like a lot. Like his ceiling is just so high. His floor is also so low. But when you start to get like lower in cost, the more and more and more I care about the ceiling, the less I care about the floor. That's why I'm into a lot of these players like Will Shipley and Zach Moss and Marshawn Lloyd that are just on good offenses I like. Even if it's unclear whether they're going to be the 2 or not. pretty happy with this team so far. It would have been cool if we were able to get Trevor Lawrence here, but overall, liking it. People have gotten on to Justin Fields. It's kind of annoying. I was going to start trying to take him some, but I don't know. I don't know if I really want to pay around 15 price for Justin Fields. Obviously, the upside is still there, but I feel like there's just a ton of risk. When he was a little bit later, it felt better to me, but still probably be interested in Fields if I have Freiermuth or Pickens and trying to sun run. They stay together. Gonna take Ollie Gordon here. Want to shoot for the upside that I prefer a little bit to Ray Davis. Ray Davis, definitely a fine pick as well. If Ray Davis goes, then I'm probably going to switch to one of these wide receivers. Don't like AD Mitchell much. Wandell is like an extremely low ceiling player, but with us having Godwin and Travis Hunter, maybe he's a decent pick for this particular roster. And obviously, Adam Thielen's like fine as well. Adam Thielen's kind of like a little bit higher ceiling version of the same play as Wandell, like weekly ceiling. I mean, yeah. Take this ancient man. All right, we'll take this ancient man. So probably gonna rock 2 more running backs, 2 more wide receivers. Looking at Caden Prather's profile, I don't understand this ranking. His profile looks very doo-doo to me. Definitely don't want Wandell now that I've taken like basically the better version of Wandell in my opinion with Thielen. Naylor's a guy I like. Gabe Davis is a guy I like. Horton's, yeah, I like as a late pick wide receiver. Ricky White. Let's get him in there. So, kind of looking at these guys for wide receivers. As for running backs, I've yet to take Javonte, but I don't think it's the worst. I think there's some decent ceiling on Jordan Mason. He could still end up the 2 in San Francisco. Kendre, I don't know. Meh. I like Marshawn Lloyd. I like Shipley, Jordan James. I've not taken Damian Martinez yet, but he's a guy I've heard bounced around a little bit. Somebody I should probably be interested in. Raheem Rocket Sanders, definitely a guy I want to take at least once or twice in this tournament. Huge, very fast guy, but man, his last couple of years of college did not go well. We do kind of just have one extra pick to do what we want with, but I think I'm going to spend it on a 9th wide receiver. It's a lot of these guys just like You saw Marvin Mims last year and guys like that just get these 2 touchdown random spike weeks. Like, could easily see like a Troy Franklin doing that, Jalen Naylor if there's an injury to one or the other. Minnesota wide receivers. Gabe Davis had a 2 touchdown game last year. He's had spike weeks throughout his career. Gabe Davis is on a 3-year 2 of a 3-year contract, so I'm pretty sure he will stay pretty involved in the Jags game plan. I think I can probably just take 2 wide receivers with these 2 picks. So I think the running backs I'll still have basically the same guys to pick from later as now. Going to take Naylor or Gabe Davis with this first pick. I'll probably take a rookie with the second pick. Guess it would make more sense to take Gabe Davis, being that we already have this kind of like Jacksonville bet. Maybe that offense just goes off and we're ping ponging some Jag stuff. Currently, no interest in Kareem Hunt. I'm gonna have to wait and see what happens with him before I'm interested. A little bit of interest in Austin Eckler, but it doesn't really feel much different to me than like all these people. Probably feels like he has a lower upside than most of them, but a higher floor. Which is not really what I'm looking for down at the end of these drafts. Trying to get my Ricky White up a little bit, so I think I will take him if I have the option to. Then we can close out wide receiver. Jordan Mason Kendra, just throwing some guys that I don't hate on the end of here. A lot of them will be gone by the time we pick again. Took a couple shots on Kale Mullings. He's not someone I want too many shots on. Pardon me. All in all, definitely liking this team. So, Murray and Penix, perfectly fine for me. Kyron Judkins, Charbonnet, Travis Etienne, Ollie Gordon, and then 2 of these guys. Liking that running back room a good bit. Brian Thomas, Drake London, Waddle, Godwin, Downs, Travis Hunter, Old Man Thielen, Gabe Davis, and Ricky White at wide receiver, and then McBride and Pitts at tight end. So, pretty big fan of this team. Definitely like it more than the other team I drafted on video. This guy has not taken a wide receiver in a while. He took quite a few up top, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Only a 6. Maybe he's taking 2 at the end. This guy has like unstacked Burrow, not nearly enough wide receiver firepower. 3 tight ends when he has Mark Andrews, Ty Johnson, who's just like no ceiling. Juju team really like got a couple more spike week type wide receivers added on to his zero RB room like that. What does his running backs actually look like? Tyrone Tracy, Blake Corum, Cam Scatabo, Trey Benson, Rashad White, Braylon Allen. I just don't particularly like his group of running backs, but I like the plan. Like, to me, it's missing like a Brian Robinson. Like, maybe if this Njoku pick would have been Brian Robinson, that makes this room work. Maybe Cam Scatabo is like better than I think he is, and that makes that room work. I do think Austin Eckler, like, if you are going to take him, like, his running back room, like, you're getting, like, a little bit of a floor play with him. Tank Dell, I'm just not picking this year. Taysom Hill, I am not picking this year. I suppose I will start this off with Marshawn Lloyd. Obviously, Lloyd might not be the 2. It might be Emmanuel Wilson. I don't really think it matters that much because I think the 2 is not going to be terribly useful unless there's a Josh Jacobs injury. And I think if there is a Josh Jacobs injury, it'll probably be Lloyd and Emmanuel Wilson doing stuff. And I think Lloyd would be the more valuable of the 2. Could definitely be wrong on that, but I think that's why they spent the pick on him. He just happened to be hurt all of last year, basically, so it didn't work out. Probably look at going with Will Shipley or Zach Moss with my last pick. I love that offensive line that the Eagles have. The Eagles are going to be a badass team. Again, like, if Barkley goes down, it's probably Shipley and Gainwell doing stuff, but I think what Shipley would do would have a much, much higher ceiling. We've seen Gainwell get in there. He has been reasonably useful for fantasy. Like, he has done some stuff, but I just think the ceiling with Will Shipley would be higher than with Gainwell. So let's go ahead and take Shipley. So again, we got Kyler and Penix, Kyren, Judkins, Charbonnet, Etienne, Ollie Gordon, Marshawn Lloyd, and Shipley, Brian Thomas, London Waddle, Godwin, Downs, Travis Hunter, Thielen, Gabe Davis, and Ricky White, and then McBride and Kyle Pitts. So got some decent stacking in. And all in all, I'm really pleased with this team. This team is quite good. Well, thanks for watching, and good luck in your drafts, folks.